Hello and welcome to a new Let's Play here on my channel, Steins Gate 0. First, before we go anywhere near anything else in this, if you have not experienced the story of the original Steins Gate anime, visual novel, Let's Play if it really came down to it, maybe the video I made recapping it, which probably was not nearly good enough to actually tell you the story in the first place. With that in mind, if you have not seen those, probably shouldn't be watching this, and I really recommend you don't watch this, because that is not how it's supposed to be. And also, I will note this: there's a glitch with this game. I discovered a glitch with this. If you open this up for the first time, you don't save it, and you exit out of it, then when you start it up next, it's going to say, "Hey, you got corrupted data," and then everything starts up again. All the music is at 0. All the settings are at 0. For example, all of these were at 0 when I started this. So, I set this up before. I'm going to be very clear about this. If you don't want to hear this and just get to me getting into it, skip 30 seconds, or I'm going to try to be brief about this. I'm turning off Okabe's voice. Why am I turning off Okabe's voice? If you saw my review for the original Steins Gate, I was a big fan of his. His voice actor was the standout, but I'm trying to make this a bit my own. It's fun for me to do it, and 3, it makes me more immersed in it. I'm going to do this for at least the first 2 episodes, and if someone's able to put together a better argument for why I should put on his voice and keep everyone else's off, or if you want to put an argument for why I should turn everyone's voices off and voice them myself, I'm willing to do that too. But this is my general compromise that I've learned from going through Muv-Love, that I think this is a good way for me to do visual novels. Turn off the main character's voice and go with it that way. If you have a problem with that, feel free to make an argument. If you convince me otherwise, I'm pretty open, because when I started Muv-Love, I was voicing everyone, and I was convinced otherwise to go a different route. So I'm pretty open-minded when it comes to it. If you put together a good argument for it, then if you put together an argument good enough, then I'll probably go with that. Now, I had to start this up and get to the very first point I could save. So, I saw the very opening, but other than that, nothing so far. This is the Vita version, and it's still, even on a full TV, the art looks great. I was gonna say beautiful, but it seems like the wrong time to say beautiful. Now, I don't remember all the details. It has been about a year since I originally played through this on the Vita, and even longer before that when I watched the anime. The hatch opened. Bright light flooded my eyes. This is the story of the Okabe that failed, right? So, where was I? My eyes narrowed. I could barely make out the summer's twilight sky. I didn't want to leave. I just wanted to disappear. But someone grabbed my arm, dragged me out.
うお、もう帰ってきたお。まだ1分も経ってないのに。
おかわり?
I forgot how much Daru's voice pissed me off. It's been a while, and his voice legitimately pissed me off in the first game. It was just so annoying. I'm not going to turn his off, but I didn't have the energy to respond to my own nickname. I fell to the ground and wrapped my arms around myself. Mari ran to me, looked down, her face worried, but her kindness felt like nothing but a nuisance. Don't talk to me. Just leave me alone.
ちょ、おかりん血まみれじゃん。どうしたん？
父さん、タオルと水、あと服も今すぐ手に入れてきて。
どういうことか説明プリーズ。
いい いから早く。
わかったお。
Well, this one really starts off at a really nice point. I didn't think we'd actually just go to this point. I thought it'd be like a time skip forward. Dara ran to the door that led back inside the building.
オカリン、大丈夫？しっかりして、死なないで。
I'm not gonna die. I don't think.
大丈夫。怪我してるわけじゃないよ。
Stop it. Just get away from me. Leave me alone. Couldn't save her. In fact, I killed her myself. Right there. 3 weeks ago. I killed her. I'm a murderer. It didn't work. No matter what we do, it's not going to work. It's all been decided already. It's the same as it was with my Yuri. No matter how hard I try, it'll all end up the same. No matter how many times I try, it'll all converge back to the same result. The process doesn't matter. Whether you time travel or time leap, you can't go back and change the results of the past. I understood that cruel truth, but now I was forced to realize it again in the worst possible way. It's useless. Useless. It's all useless. I knew it. I can't save Kurisu. I knew this. I knew this. I already knew this would happen. I'm so tired. I haven't rested in so long. I'm done.
Okari, 一体何が。
I killed her. I killed her. I'm an idiot. It's all my fault.
マキセ・クリスをさ、刺し殺しちゃったんだ。殺した？嘘、そんな。でも安心して、まだもう一回分タイムトラベルはできる。
Just leave me alone. No matter how many times I try, it'll end up the same.
何言ってんの？諦めるつもり？オカリンおじさんの肩には何十億っていう人の命がかかってるんだよ。
Oh, we know how this goes already.
たった一回の失敗が何だって言うんだ。
Not about failing once. It's about knowing that you always fail. Over, over, and over again. There's just no way to save Risu. You can't stop the world line convergence. It's the reality of the world. I learned that a long time ago.
こうなったらビンタしてでも気合い入れ直して。ダメだよ、無理強いするのは良くないよ。こんなボロボロになってるオカリン見てられないもん。でもさ、このままじゃ未来を変えられない。どうして未来のことをオカリン一人に押し付けるの？
It's such a unique perspective on this.
そんなの重すぎるよ。
I really wasn't expecting anyone to bring up that sort of argument.
オカリンおじさんには 世界の観測者としての能力があるからだよ。
But that doesn't mean I'm more capable of changing fixed events.
オカリンが望んだわけじゃないのに。それにもう一度やったってまたオカリンが傷つくだけだって思うな。未来のことを人一人で変えようなんてきっと無理なんだよ。だからそのためのシュタインズゲートで、気持ちはわかるよ。でもさ、私も未来をかけてここまで来てるんだよね。どっちにしろ2036年には戻れないんだ。そう簡単に諦めるつもりはないから。オカリンおじさん、一つだけ忠告しとく。このタイムマシンに残されてる燃料は有限なの。
Well, I guess you get your trip back.
さっきは往復2回分しか残ってないって言ったけど、実はまだそれなりに余裕はある。それでも移動できる時間はおよそ344日分。片道のタイムトラベルだとしても今から1年と経たないうちに7月28日には届かなくなる。覚えといて。その日になったらさ、私はたとえ一人でも飛ぶよ。
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Don't worry. You'll fail too. We all would. Someone was saying something to me, but I couldn't understand the words. I didn't want to listen to anything. I just wanted to sleep. Just to let this all end. Just to let me go.
オカリン？オカリン。ねえ、オカリン。もう頑張らなくてもいいからね。泣いてもいいんだよ、オカリン。マユシーはそばにいるからね、オカリン。
I don't know if Mayuri's words were the reason why, but the tears just started to flow. I decided to forget everything. Ever since that day, I stopped going to the Future Gadgets lab. Absolute zero. Remember, that sort of reminds me of the chapter ones from the first one. UPX, the new symbol of Akihabara, is located right in front of the new station, or the station. The hall of the 4th floor, preparations have been going on all morning for the ATF, Akihabara Techno Forum Convention. University and labs from both inside and outside the country would work together to put on special seminars and symposiums at irregular intervals. My school, Tokyo Denki University, was participating as a part of its industry collaboration efforts. Students were required to attend these seminars and submit reports to the instructors. Really? Okay. I don't think I've ever read anything about... There's actually a weird sort of like delay when doing anything in the menus in this. It's weird. I don't remember this being in the original Steins Gate, but it's like, okay, so like, I'm pressing it now. And there we go. So, a bit weird, yeah. Tokyo Denki University. I don't think they ever talked about this in the first game. First founded as the Denki School in 1907. In 1949, it became a college in Kanda, Tokyo. Denki University trains engineers and scientists to promote the healthy development of scientific technology. It's founded around the principle of practical study above all else. Its education and research motto is "Technology is people." Because of the school's location, was deeply involved in the development of Akihabara. Cool beans. There's actually a pretty interesting menu going on here. I wonder if there's a reason behind it. Because it's almost like it's a screen I wonder if that okay, actually, up there at the top above it, that almost looks like a webcam. Is this like a laptop we're looking at? Otherwise, they wouldn't get credit for their related classes. In addition, I was supposed to help one of the lecturers, Associate Professor Izaki. I just got in a list from the reception desk at the shared lobby. I was waiting to check off names of the students who were coming to the lectures. There's still some time before the seminar started, so the lobby was mostly empty. None of the students on the list were here yet. I was bored, but I couldn't do anything but wait. The old me never could have imagined doing anything like this, but impressing Izaki was part of my new goal in life. Vita Chandria University. Yeah, that was my new goal. Izaki did a lot of joint research projects with him, knew a lot of people there. The best first step to getting there my brain could come up with was being his assistant. Also, this convention was holding another seminar by Victor Chandria University, after the one held this summer. Aren't you already in university? Are you planning to, transfer? That would be a bit odd. Of course, that interests me too. Summer. Image of her. She was then flashed through my mind. Trying to get to Victor Chandria so that I could learn about the work that Krisu had been doing. I want to try to do it myself. Oh. Is that the American university that she was attending? Because I thought she was going to university in America. Again, I don't remember a lot of the details, so I might be wrong about that. Of course, I wasn't a genius like Krisu. I knew there was no way I'd ever be able to do exactly what she did. But if I could do even 10% of that, honestly, I'm amazed that I've recovered so well. I thought that to myself and chuckled, just as a voice called to me from across the lobby.
ちょっと、そこの方?
That sounds familiar. I don't recognize her. I'm pretty sure I've seen her in the opening, though. The opening I've probably seen about at least a dozen times now, and listened to probably about 100 times now. It's been a while since Steins Gate 0 came out in Japan, and that opening's pretty damn catchy. I'm sort of disappointed that it hasn't come up in this yet. When I was leaving it at the menu, it did come up when you just left it at the start menu for long enough, one of those things. But I haven't seen it in this yet, which is a bit odd, I suppose. I looked up and saw a young girl approaching from the elevator hall. She was short and petite, everything about her was small. I could kind of make out a few of the curves that don't appear until after puberty, so at least she wasn't in elementary school, but maybe middle school? For someone with such a cute face, she clearly didn't care about her appearance. Her hair wasn't styled and pulled down her back. Even I could tell her clothes weren't very fashionable.
ごめんなさい。スタッフルームってどこかしら?
This is the ATF seminar. Clearly not a place where a middle school girl belongs. Unless she's even more of a genius than Kurisu, which is a possibility. She'd probably just come to the wrong place.
そんなの分かっているわ。何度同じ話を繰り返せば気が済むの?
Oh, a few times, yeah. This is the first time you've said it to me.
私にとってはあなたで4回目よ。この場所に来てからね。
Oh. If you're such a smart little middle schooler, maybe you should figure out why. Irritated, she pulled a card out of her jacket. It was one of the IDs given out to invited guests. Her name and the name of her workplace were written on the front. Ooh, that does say Victor Chandria University on it, USA. Is that supposed to be a, Is that supposed to be, a parody of some sort of real university? Because I can't say anything comes to mind that would, name-wise, would sound like Victor Chandria. Huh. Victor Chandria University, USA, Brain Science Institute. And Carissa was working on moving brain, the digitization of memories, right? I thought that's what a lot of her work was on. Victor Chandria University, USA, Brain Science Institute. I looked at the card, and then at her, then back at the card, and then I looked at her again. And then I finally realized. Oh, so that's it. Okay. Where did he find this card? Thanks for bringing it back.
その話も4回目よ。
Fine. You got a hat trick. Do you have any? Oh, you got a driver's license or? I like that little smile on your face. It's a bit funny. This one was a photo ID. This one was a photo ID from Victor Condria University. Heh. Right? It was the same ID I'd seen Carissa holding before on another world line. Photo on the card, yeah. That was definitely her.
ヒヤジョマホって読むの。
Was she actually brought up in the first thingamabob? Or was it Carissa's ID? I'm not really sure what he's saying there, or if he's implying that he's seen her ID before. Or I'm gonna assume he means that he saw Carissa's ID before.
私の名前、ヒヤジョマホ。漢字でもローマ字でも誰も読めた試しがないから、先に言っとくわ。
And you're from Victor Condria University? Middle school. The Victor Condria University Middle School Edition. 2 times.
寝ぼけるなら夜にして。大学に中学生がいるわけないでしょ。
They can. Maybe. You know, I think I've heard about that as like just watching anime and reading manga and random shit. I think I've seen that before, like talking about like ladder systems that they have in Japan, where you like go to the affiliate middle school, then go to the affiliate high school, then go to the college, and so on and so forth. That's true. Then you skipped a bunch of grades then. Unlike in Japan, it wasn't uncommon for Americans to skip grades. Carissa had made it to university at age 17, which admittedly is just like a grade. But still, a girl this young working in a university lab.
一つ確認していいかしら。
I'm not stupid. Don't ask. Sure.
あなた今、少なからず衝撃を受けてるわよね。こんな小さい子が。
Yeah.
信じられないかしら。それともこの年齢ですごいの方。
Let me guess, she's actually really old. She got me.
ここをよく見なさい。
Okay. The girl, Maho Yajo, pointed the body idea with her slender figures. 1989? Wait, when does this take place? And it was 2010. Ooh, interesting. She was born in 1989 and it was 2010, so... You're 21 years old. Oh, you're fucking kidding me.
つまり立派な成人女性よ。中学生じゃないのよ。もちろん小学生でも幼稚園児でも。
You must have a lot of fun doing this on a day-to-day basis. And then puffed out her chest. Maybe you should wear something that actually shows that you have breast before you act like that's a sign of you being an adult. Oh my goodness. There wasn't much to see, but I could imagine her saying, "They look bigger when I'm not wearing clothes. They're huge." Of course they look bigger when you're not wearing clothes. Uh-huh.
何かしらその顔は。
Did I say any of that out loud? I don't think I forget if I said any of that out loud. Oh, no, sorry. I apologize. I couldn't believe it. She was older than me. Dara was here dancing around screaming illegal lowly for the win. I don't even need to look that one up. I'm not sure I really want to know. I do know. I don't want to confirm it.
まあいいわ。世界中どこへ行っても同じ目に遭ってるから。
Yeah, I'm sure.
何か言った？
No, I did not. So, the Brain Science Institute. That's where Carissa worked. This kid, no, this person. I know a lot about Kurisu. I held back the impulse to start badgering her with questions. I looked at the pamphlet with the seminar schedules. Victor Chandri's lecture was the last one for the day and was clearly intended to be the biggest. Is Maho Yajo girl going to be giving a lecture? Just like Kurisu had done at the summer convention. No, wait, that's wrong. That never happened. But it was supposed to happen. It wasn't that long after. It would have had to have been scheduled by then, right? Or was it because it might have been a last minute thing. Oh, whatever. Kurisu Makasei never gave any lectures over the summer. That happened in the Alpha World Line. This is the Beta World Line. The world line I inhabited now, before the summer convention, she'd already... Are you giving the lecture today?
いいえ、私は助手として来たの。あと通訳も兼ねてね。
Oh, okay. I looked at the pamphlet again and saw that the lecturer was a man named Alexis Leskinen. Russian, okay. Alexis Leskinen. Yeah, I've never heard a Russian name like that before. Professor at Victor Kandri University and the chief researcher... Well, maybe not. Maybe it's just Eastern European. And the chief researcher of the Brain Science Institute. And the topic is the artificial intelligence revolution, huh? Yeah. Sounds interesting.
時間があったらぜひ聞いてみてほしいわね。
I will. And I don't know why you're interested in me listening to it. Oh, the staff room. Right. Okay. I lead Maho over to the elevator hall and showed her where the staff room was.
ありがとう。
I had no reason to hang around her any further. I said goodbye. I was just about to turn around. Just then, the elevator opened and a woman emerged. The instant I saw her face, every hair on my body stood on end. What? Oh, okay. For some reason I was expecting Kurisu. I was like, let's see, this world line. She'd still be working for CERN, right? Wait, no, she wouldn't be, would she? Because they wouldn't have built into a power and they wouldn't have been able to establish the previous CERN as someone who would be looking out for all these things, right? Without them becoming a timeline, without them being able to take over time travel in the future, they wouldn't have been able to set up all that stuff. Right? I might be mistaken. I don't think I've ever met her on this world line, at the very least. Oeka, Kiryu. That's all I could do to keep myself from screaming. Calm down. It's the Beta world line. Maria's alive. Oeka's not going to kill her. Eyes met. The eyes on the other side of her glasses were as dead as ever, and it was impossible to tell what she was thinking. Frankly, averted my gaze before she realized something was wrong. She tilted her head for a second, but quickly lost interest in me and turned towards Maho. Wait. Oh, she's speaking! How are you doing this?
ああ、雑誌社の方でしたよね。お約束通り、主催を。
Even this world line, Moeka only spoke in faint whispers. Okay. That's gotta...
レスキネン教授はまだなんです。少しお待たせしてしまいますけど。
That's gotta be difficult for someone who's interviewing people.
はい。
I assume she is.
それまで私でよければシステムの概要でも。お願いします。
Huh. The two of them disappeared into the staff room. The machine. Artificial intelligence. As I watched them leave, I took a deep breath. I tried to calm down, but it really wasn't working. Awake. Here we go. It's going to be you again. It's a terrible feeling, like a cold finger tracing the wounds in my heart. That night, when the terrorist threat shut down all the trains in Akihabara, that awful night, I just knew something was going to happen. you going to do it again? Here. There's no reason to believe she would. Or was I just imagining things? Was she just a magazine reporter now instead of a CERN rounder? No, if Moki was a rounder, we had nothing to do with CERN anymore. CERN wouldn't even be watching us. I took another deep breath, grabbed some of the anxiety meds in my pocket, and swallowed them down with some mineral water I brought ahead of time. It would be 15 minutes for them to kick in. Those 15 minutes were always pretty rough. Okay, I'm on the meds. Okay. Goodbye, Ho in Gyoma. I laughed at myself a little and sat down in one of the reception desk chairs. Honestly, I was a little prepared. I was sort of actually. Wait. I'm getting messages, aren't I? How do I? Not skip. No. How do I take out my phone? There we go. That's what I wanted. Oh, Green. Are things going okay with Mr. Semina? Oh, okay. Yeah, he has a touch screen. He has a touch screen now. Japan is moving into the future. Touchscreen, slowly but surely. There was a little accident, and just leave it at that. Never talk to Mayuri again. I'm not sure. That seems like how he'd actually reply. Are you sure? Are you sure? I'm not so sure you're so sure. Can I exit this again? I'm just having trouble paying attention. There's a seminar I want to attend, so I'm not getting anywhere with my work. I see. You're nervous, huh? Just tell yourself that if you work hard, you can go see Mr. Seminar's reward. And then you'll focus on the work right in front of you. Okay. Weird. Ringtone for call. Oh, okay. Is this I think this is in the first one. Yeah, I think Gate of Steiner is definitely the best song out of these, but for some reason I like this just as a ringtone. Oh, I love all the random shit that you were able to do in the first game. Oh, I'll use that one for now. It's great. Ooh, can I call someone? Mayuri, let me call you. Let me just try to call everyone. Okay, apparently. Okay, weird. Wait. Yuki Amane? That name sounds familiar, and it has two names to it, not just one like everyone else, so... She sort of looks familiar. Okay, what did I miss? No, I didn't mean to press config, the amazing thingamabob. I laughed at myself a little and sat down on one of the reception desk chairs. The table was filled with leaflets, pamphlets, and other things for the attendees. My eyes wandered to one of the pamphlets. Nakabachi theory and the genealogy of pseudoscience. This pamphlet was for Professor Izaki's seminar. Nakabachi theory. Paper he announced in Russia. That paper had the key to creating a real-time machine. Yeah, that's how World War III starts, right? On that day, July 28th, Nakabachi had stolen the paper from Risu, his own daughter, and left with it. I knew that. Only Nakabachi and I knew that. I flipped through the pamphlet. It was a brief introduction to the many forms of pseudoscience and fake scientific discoveries that had emerged since the start of the 20th century. On its own, it did make for an interesting reading. At the end of the pamphlet, Nakabachi theory was introduced as nothing more than another entry to a long list of fakes. Oh, I suppose that's not surprising. It is claiming a lot without a lot of proof. But if it does work in the end, sometimes that just... I mean, there's a lot of skepticism behind anything introduced in the scientific world. That's the whole point of scientific theory. You need other people to back it up, prove it. But if it's based on math, and that's usually something... Well, why is it a conspiracy theory? Just because it's saying time travel? So Dr. Nakabachi's time machine theory had been completely ignored by the academic world. All the glory, fame, and power he'd wanted so badly he was willing to get rid of his own daughter for. He didn't get any of it. I heard rumors that after the announcement he'd been imprisoned in a Russian lab. To make it even funnier, he thought he was getting the VIP treatment. Oh, oh my goodness. For a short time, there's essays and interviews in bogus academic journals. Even there, it was obvious it all gone to his head. He didn't understand any of it. That's part of the problem. He didn't think of it. The ironic thing is that the Nakabachi theory was completely correct and completely revolutionary. The Russian government was worried about it leaking, and the SVR was doing everything it could to keep it under wraps. Oh, okay. Okay, so... SVR. The Service of the External Reconnaissance of the Russian Federation, aka SVR, Russia's external intelligence agency's HQ, and Yasinovo in southern Moscow. After the old Soviet Committee for State Security, KGB, was disbanded, the new SVR was modeled after the KGB's first directorate. There are other intelligence agencies in Russia as well, such as the Main Intelligence Directorate, GRU, and the Federal Security Service, FSB. Each of them has their own territory and specialization. But under the surface, there's a full-scale information war beginning over the paper. Time traveler from 2036, John Teeter, had told me so, which meant it had to be true. It was World War III, and it was really going to happen? There's no point in thinking about it. Just a little bit more before the drugs kick in. I close my eyes. Several hours later, I wake up. The convention was going well without me. After Professor Izaki's seminar, most of the students from my university went home, but I killed some time and came back. I went to hear the Victor Kandria lecture. I headed to the hall with plenty of time to spare and saw Maho Hiyajo coming from the staff room. She was with a very tall foreigner. Wow, he looks fucking creepy. Something about how he's just drawn, his face. Just looks like a mannequin. Is that Alexis Leskinen? Or is that a robot? Sort of looks like a robot. Didn't seem like an American name, but maybe he was an immigrant like Risu, or at least descended from one. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but the looks on their faces were so serious I couldn't help but listen. Since they were both speaking English, I could barely make out any of it. I could tell from the voices that it was not a pleasant chat. Oh wait, did I just hear the word Makise? I hate the fact that I couldn't speak English. If I knew this was going to happen, I've gone to an English school. The two of them walked into the waiting room for the lecturers. It's located right next to the UPX theater. I put together a few fragments that I was able to understand. Fire at Krisu's house. Mrs. Makise is alright. Robbery. Police called off the investigation. Why was the FBI there? It doesn't make sense. Yeah, I think that's what they're saying. Priest's house. Do you mean where she lived in America? Her mother should still live in America. Is that where the fire was? Then words like robbery and the investigation called off. Really want to know more. I stood there and worried until it was time for the lecture to begin. Nothing else to do, I went inside the theater. I guess that guy wasn't a robot. He just sorta kinda looked like one. I could tell earlier by looking at the size of the crowds inside, but it was a very high energy crowd. The atmosphere was clearly different than Izaki's seminar, which was mostly students there for credit. The place was nearly full with a crowd of scientists and people who wanted to learn more about cutting-edge technology. Victor Condria's researchers had published a slate of papers in Science recently, and had gotten into a lot of media attention. Maybe that was why. Were there any open seats? Found a single open seat at the edge. When I looked at who I was sitting next to, I moaned. You again. Moeka Kiryu was there. She was speaking to no one, just typing endlessly into her phone. I once named her Shining Finger because because of her incredible typing speed. She was as fast as ever. So, who was she talking to? I didn't even want to imagine. I quickly turned away and looked for another seat. Dr. Leskinen reached the podium almost the exact same instant I sat down. There's a huge, huge wave of applause. When they saw the tiny little girl come up next to him, the applause faded into confused murmurs. Maho must have expected this. Her expression didn't change in the slightest as she stood next to the professor. In fact, when she took the microphone from the professor and looked around the theater, she looked like she belonged there.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh, that actually sounded sort of like an English speaker. Huh. I want to hear him again. I want to see if that holds up. First, Dr. Leskinen began speaking English. But when he made contact with Maho, she began to interpret.
Thank you for attending.
皆さん、本日は私のセミナーに集まってくださって感謝します。
Okay. It sort of sounded like English. It sort of sounds like someone, like a really stilted Japanese speaker who's actually really good at speaking English without an accent, but it's really stilted, so it's like, thank you for everyone coming here now, so it's like, it doesn't have a natural, like, human factor to it. It sounds almost robotic. Oh, right, he looks like a fucking robot. And he sounds like a robot. Maybe that's on purpose. Or maybe it's just a perfect coincidence.
I am Alexis Leskinen
ビクトル・コンドリア大学脳科学研究所のアレクシス・レスキネンです。専門は脳信号処理システムおよび人工知能理論になります。
Brain signal processing systems. That almost definitely would relate to what Krisa was doing then.
そして私は助手のヒアジョウマホです。同じく脳科学研究所で教授の指導に沿って研究をしています。よろしく。
The audience starts murmuring again. It's the same way I responded when I met her. I mean, really, people are going to question it because you don't look it, and you're gonna judge on appearances because it's a shorthand. It's just a quick way of doing it. It's not anything against you or against people who look like children, other than the fact that they look like children. I mean, that'll happen, yeah.
では早速ですが、私たちの最先端研究の一端をご紹介します。
Oh my goodness. I'm listening. Okay, it's sounding better as he goes on with his speech. I'm listening to the English part specifically.
テーマは人工知能革命としましたが、これからデモンストレーションするシステムは、おそらく皆さんの想像を超えたものではないかと思っています。
She's, you know what? I like that they're not interpreting it word for word, that she's sort of giving a summary in her own words of the same thing that he's saying. That's actually pretty good. That's more realistic, even though it's translated back into English for this. Dr. Leskinen stood in front of the laptop he had placed on the podium and started to type.
このパソコンですが、研究所のスーパーコンピューターの一つと接続されています。
Okay.
ああ、まだプロジェクターには映さないで。
One of the staffers was about to display the laptop screen on the front projector. Some kind of important program that must have been booting up because Maho Hyajio stopped them.
すみません、まだ開発途中なんです。非常に美的センスのないプログラムが画面いっぱいに溢れ返っています。
Oh, pretty to look at or confidential? Maybe even
こんな
classified.
チープなプログラムを見られるのは恥ずかしい。裸を見られるよりもね。この中にエンジニアの方がいるなら理解していただけますよね。
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm an engineer. Yeah, no, I get what you're talking about. But I'm sort of thinking that you're probably lying. Some of the audience got the professor's joke and laughed. Ha 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 ha.
Anyway, while this finishes
起動するまでの
I'll
間
give you a quick overview
このシステ
of
ム
our
全
system.
体の概略を説明しましょう
I should clarify, I'm not saying Okabe's an engineer. I'm real life. I'm actually in engineering, so I that might be confusing. That might have been confusing. There was another projector at the center of the stage. A diagram appeared on the screen, and at the top of the diagram was Japanese translation for the general audience. I can't read that. An analysis of it's sort of funny that this is like going English into the story. It's English in the story being translated into Japanese, and then back into English for this. An analysis of neural post signals relating to memory stored in the temporal lobe. Ooh. Ooh. That sounds just like... Yeah, I knew that title well. In fact, I was sure I could never forget it. It was the title of an essay written by a 17-year-old genius and published in Science. She completely analyzed the nerve impulse patterns that govern human memory, and used that to digitize the memories themselves into data. She'd used that to invent the time leap machine right in front of my eyes. Though, not that it actually happened anymore. Did it get published, though?
We've actually been featured in a
サ
few
イエンス
journals
誌に掲
recently,
載されたので
so some of you
ご
may
存知の
already
方もいるでしょう
be familiar with the project.
Okay, that's a yes.
It was proposed by a very talented
これ
Japanese
は
member of our team.
私たちのチームにいた天才的な日本人研究者によって提唱され完成されたものです
Sadness.
Human memories are stored in
人間の
several
記憶は
copies, particularly
大脳
in the
皮質
temporal lobe,
とりわ
a
け
little like flash
側
memory.
頭葉に記録されますいわゆるフラッシュメモリみたいなもの
The part of the temporal lobe that
そのメモリ
controls
に
the
記憶を
typing
書き
and
込んだ
reading
り
of memories is
読み出したりするのが
artificial
側頭葉にある海馬傍回という部位になります
Now, I almost want to turn off Maho's voice just so we can listen to the English guy more clearly. Dr. Leskinen pointed out the diagrams of the brain and hippocampus on the screen.
The brain works by transmitting
脳
electrical
は
signals between
ニューロン
cells
と呼ばれる
or
細
neurons.
胞の間を電気信号が伝わっていくことで働いています
Yeah, this is gonna have to get a whole lot more technical if it really wants to reach the level of an actual, like, one of these conferences. I mean, I haven't gone to a whole lot of these, but when you're getting into a paper like this, they're gonna go into the details. They're gonna get into the stuff because this is stuff people are gonna know here already. If you're interested in this and you really are going to be able to understand what's going on, chances are, at the very least, you very briefly cover this stuff, maybe just to introduce some people to it. But realistically, your audience is more going to be the people who understand what you're talking about, so they can take that information and work with it yourself.
What we call
Or
memories
themselves.
are just
記憶というのも
electrical signals and
実
they
は
are
こう
controlled
い
by
った
the
電気信号の
artificial
伝わりの一つなのですその働きを制御しているのが海馬傍回と言ってもいいでしょう
In other words,
つまり
electrical signals passing through
電
the
気信号が
artificial
海馬
channels
傍回を
is
出入り
memories.
することで記憶は作られていくんですね
That was a foundation for
そこで
listening case.
マキセ・クリスはこの論文を書いた日本人研究者です
Ooh, she fucked up.
And excuse me, I mean,
あの
Ms. Makise, one of our
マキセ
research
研
assistants.
究員は考えました
Okay, who... Is she... Okay, he said at that time. I heard him say that.
You see here, electrical signals, signal patterns, there's
海
several
馬傍
copies.
回を通る電気信号が電気信号のパターンと大脳皮質の
I think she's getting a bit messed up. Mao starts to have trouble with her interpreting. She's getting confused. But how good you were with languages, interpreting for a long period of time had to be difficult. I once read an article on the internet that said even a professional can't do it for more than 20 minutes. International conferences and live broadcasts from overseas were actually handled by a team of people switching off. Or maybe... Was she having trouble because Krisa's name came up? Dr. Leskinen said she saw that she was having trouble and cut himself off.
すみません マキセ研究員は海馬妨害を出入りする電気信号のパターンに着目しました。そのパターンが大脳皮質のどの記憶と対応しているのか解析を行って完全なデータを得たのです。これによって記憶という曖昧でアナログなものを電気信号のパターンの組み合わせというデジタルなものに変換する基礎理論が確立されたのです。これがサイエンス誌に掲載された彼女の論文です。そして現在私たちのチームはその理論をもとに人間の記憶をデジタルデータとして取得するシステムを開発しています。
A wave of whispers swept across the theater.
それはすなわち人間の記憶をコンピューターに保存しそれを活用するシステムということになります。
Yeah, I know it's possible. In this world, at least. The whispers turned into a low roar. I see. So even after her death, Crease's research was being carried on. Of course, maybe it was natural that it would be. It's a basic theory for time leaping, which I had proved myself, even if I could never prove it to anyone else in the Alpha World line. My memories had been turned into data and stored on a computer. There was no doubt about that. What Dr. Leskinen was talking about right now was the basic theory. What Dr. Leskin was talking about right now was the basic technology required for that process.
現在、私たちが行っているプロジェクトは主に2つです。1つは医療分野への応用です。
Slide on the projector change.
こちらは精神生理学研究所と共同で行っているプロジェクトです。コンピューターに保存した記憶データを海馬妨害を通して再び元の脳に書き戻すというもので、
While we know this is possible, just from this, you gotta acknowledge the fact that that's a very, very dangerous thing to start testing.
Incredible!
That's good. Someone who looked like a grad student in the front row shouted. Dr. Leskinen didn't seem particularly put off by the interruption, and Maho continued her interpretation.
You don't believe it? I know how you feel.
信じがたいですか。その気持ちは理解できます。私も皆さんの立場であればそう言ったでしょう。しかし、この研究に私たちは手応えを感じています。これが実用化できればどんなに素晴らしいことでしょう。例えば、老化による記憶障害、あとはアルツハイマーなど、そうしたものへの対処療法が期待できます。患者の記憶をデータとして自動的にバックアップしていくのです。
That would be pretty interesting from a law enforcement point of view too.
記憶が失われたとしても、その都度 PC にアクセスし、脳内にデータを再インストールすることが可能です。
It'd also be extremely dangerous from a privacy aspect.
それによって忘却の進行を食い止められるのではないか、私たちはそう考えています。最終的には海馬妨害から PC 内の記憶データに常時アクセスできるようになるでしょう。
There's something important to remember, just to be aware of, that a ton of funding for research in a lot of fields comes from the government. And if you're talking about the American stuff, especially, I'm sure this is the case in a lot of countries, there's a high probability that if there's a relevance to it, you might get quite a bit of money from the military. Which means, even stuff like this, that's a good application. There's medical public applications to it. But if it's getting a good amount of funding, there's a decent chance it also has a military application that is intended to be used.
So it's a blameworthy loss
そうすれ
significant
ば
functionality.
脳機能が失われた状態。例えば脳が激しく損傷したり萎縮してしまった場合などですが。
That's not to say it is or anything like that. It is important distinction to make. It isn't necessary that's the case. I just know that there is a lot of the money that you see given to the military in the US through their budget, the hundreds of billions, trillions maybe, I don't really remember exactly. A lot of the stuff in that goes to research, there's a ton of it. It's going to be for military application, because that's the intent. And stuff like this could get picked up and funded by military funding for that sort of stuff.
The system is essentially
そのような状態でも変わらず脳機能を維持できます。
Think of it like an
あた
external
か
hard
も
drive.
外部ストレージと同じように。
I mean, strange feeling gripped the hall. Part of it was shock, the feeling that they were witnessing the announcement of some incredible technology. Part of it was the skepticism that a system like that could ever actually work. Part of it was just the revulsion at the idea of playing around with a human brain like that. Yeah, I feel more from like a privacy aspect. Like, imagine how sucky it is that like your social media stuff can be used against you. Like your privacy's just gone from social media. This is like this times 100. That's like that times 100. An excitement born of all these things passed from one member of the crowd to another. Dr. Leskinen raised his hand to encourage questioners.
I'm seeing some of you have questions.
どうやら2つ目のプロジェクトをお話しする前に質問を受け付けないといけないようですね。
Oh, okay, I get it. They're briefly going over each of their projects, okay. This isn't like a typical technical seminar or anything like that. They're going over briefly each project rather than going to the details for a lot of them, because there are a lot. It's not like what I was thinking of before, basically.
I'll answer as many as I can. Go ahead.
できる範囲でお答えします。どうぞ。
That's not what he said. He said I'll answer as many as I can. Many hands were raised. I could tell that there was a wide age range of people interested. Both the young and old were raising their hands. Dr. Leskinen pointed to a questioner. This was the first question. Sampling would be required when digitizing analog memories. Does that mean any information would be lost? Specifically, what are they referring to in terms of sampling? Not auto. What was the button for the tips? I was able to bring it up really quickly before. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that's what you meant. Oh, I thought you were meaning something more extensive than that. Okay, never mind. The professor nodded as he listened to the question in Japanese and began to respond in English when the speaker finished. I was able to understand Japanese, if not speak it.
Let me live that.
その質問を言い換えると、
You're talking about attempting to
オーケストラの生演奏を WAV のデータに保存する際、生演奏のすべてを完璧に記録することはできないと。
Yeah, so basically sampling is the fact that when you take in data, when you take in anything, for the people who don't have knowledge of this, basically in electrical, when you're taking in data like that, you're taking in the electrical impulses you're at a certain rate. So like let's say an example, every second you take in a piece of data. This is how you'd have to get the data from the brain. It'd have to be every second or something, or realistically probably more like every 100,000th of a second. I don't know, it depends. But at the same time, chances are, because of how electrical impulses work, you're going to miss a lot. And what they're saying is that there's going to be a bunch of dead air in between that. And typically what you do when sampling, when you're looking for that, is that you make a general assumption that it's close enough that you don't have a lot of variation in that. So you could call it like a straight line in between those 2 points, give or take. When you get small enough, typically it's generally a safe assumption to assume that there's a linear relationship between one point and the next.
That's certainly a concern.
確かにその懸念はあります。 現在の研究で最も困難な問題の一つです。脳内のネットワークが神経伝達物質のオンオフだけで、つまり二進数的にデータのやり取りをしているのであれば簡単な問題でした。それはデジタルデータと同じことだからです。しかし実際には伝達物質や電気信号は脳内でアナログ的に変化することが分かっています。この問題に関しては今のところより高いサンプリングレートでデータをサンプルする方法しか手段を持っていません。
The problem with higher rate sampling is that you get noise. You start to see noise. Like, basically, you see, once you start seeing every little detail, the patterns that you're trying to create, which probably are pretty important in memories, start to be just very distorted in sort of ways. That's more the case for physical phenomena sampling, but still.
音楽の話で言えば 44.1kHz よりも 48kHz、 48kHz よりも 96kHz でサンプリングするといった具合です。
One of the funny things about this is that they're specifically trying to use like other examples, like other like fields that aren't science, because I think that this really isn't aimed at actual engineers and scientists. So I don't think they're expecting the audience of Steins Gate to have all this knowledge.
それによってデジタルでありながらアナログデータに近い情報を得ようとしています。
Little by little, the mood in the room was turning to disappointment. So basically, one of the major keys to it actually happening, they have no fucking clue. How did Carissa get around that? People were beginning to wonder if this was just a pretty theory that wouldn't work in reality. I wonder, wouldn't that be an interesting thing? If Okabe's memories are distorted by the fact that not all of his mind was able to make it every time. Just like little bits off every time. Itty bitty, every here and there. He loses his memories, little by little, every time he went through to try to save Mayuri. More questions came. All the questioners were skeptical of the professor's theory, and many of them seemed to be outright challenging him. I started to get upset. This was Dr. Leskin's research, but it was also Karisu's. I knew better than anyone that it worked. The sight of so many people refusing to give it a chance infuriated me. Are these people really scientists? Yes, they should. Scientists are supposed to doubt. That's how they're supposed to operate. I tried to keep myself under control and looked back towards the podium. Was she mad? You gotta expect this when you're doing something. She certainly looked disappointed. Well, yeah. Dr. Leskin was very polite with the rude questioners, acknowledging the problems with the theory. She was very different. Her anger was starting to seep into her interpreting too. I felt a kind of kinship with her. The question and answer session continued.
そもそもこれは医学的に無謀でしょう。デジタルデータを脳に書き戻すなんて絶対に不可能だ。正気の沙汰ではない。
He's not a scientist. He's not an engineer. To claim it's impossible. Yeah, no. Either he's an idiot or he's not a scientist or engineer.
サイエンス誌に掲載されたあの論文も読みましたが、にわかには信じられない。
Why not?
ましてや、筆頭著者が若干17歳の女性だったとあっては。
Yeah, but the evidence would speak for itself. The math would speak for itself. The theory is still what it is. That doesn't matter, and if you can't get around that, then you're a fucking shit scientist. That was the one thing I couldn't ignore.
あなたね。
Objection. I don't. I was trying to think of a good place to stop for the day. That probably is a pretty good place. Well, with that said, Again, if you think I should put Okabe's voice on, you're free to try to convince me. I'm relatively open-minded, but I'm pretty sure about this, and this is how I want to do it. Simple as that. I'm going to do one more episode like this, and then I'm going to wait a little bit to see if anyone wants to challenge that decision by me. Other than that, I wonder where this is going to go. You know where the end result is. You know the end result is the video D-mail, which basically means they have to reproduce D-mail, right? And they also have to advance it in enough of a way so that it could also do video. But they're talking about Kurisu's brain stuff. They're not really doing time leaping. Interesting. Okay, well, at the very least, they could probably use the time machine that Suzuha brought back and try to reverse engineer that to try to think of how to do the D-mail again, maybe? Or maybe just from Okabe's memory. It's still. Okay, so I'll see you all next time. Drive safely.
僕らは宇宙のまで